Welcome to AI for Beginners Demystified, the podcast that makes artificial intelligence simple, practical, and profitable for small business owners. Each week, we turn complex AI concepts into real-world strategies you can use to grow your business. Hosted by the team at Internet Marketing Services. This is AI for Beginners Demystified, where the future of business starts today. Let's get started.
Welcome to AI for Beginners Demystified, the podcast that makes artificial intelligence simple, practical, and exciting. I'm Rick Samara.
And I'm Paul Stober. Right now, millions of just beautifully written, deeply researched articles are, well, they're effectively invisible.
Yeah, completely.
You hit publish, your prose is perfect, your insights are sharp, but to the massive AI submarines that are currently like patrolling the ocean of the internet, I mean, systems like ChatGPT, Gemini Cloud, your work literally does not exist.
It's just not there for them.
Exactly. And why? Because you aren't emitting the precise structural sonar ping that they programmed to find.
Right. The rules of discoverability have just undergone this foundational rewrite.
They really have, which is why we're doing this podcast today. We're looking at a stack of recent SEO research, and it's all anchored by this cutting-edge blueprint titled How to Structure a Blog Post for AI Citation.
Yeah, and the core premise across all these sources is that generative engine optimization, or GEO, has officially bypassed traditional SEO. I mean, we're in 2026 now.
Right. The landscape has completely shifted.
The goal is no longer, fighting for a blue link on a search engine results page. Nobody cares about the blue links anymore. The goal is being cited directly inside a synthesized AI-generated answer.
Which brings us to our mission for today's podcast. We're going to decode the underlying mechanics of this blueprint. We really want to understand the practical, step-by-step architecture that transforms traditional human-focused writing into AI-friendly, citation-ready assets.
Because it's a completely different way of building content.
It is. And for you listening, whether you are drafting thought leadership pieces, technical documentation, or, just marketing copy, the stakes here are absolute.
Totally.
If these large language models act as the primary gatekeepers of knowledge, which they do, we have to figure out how to ensure the human-created ideas you put out into the world actually get recognized and recommended.
And to achieve that discoverability, the blueprint insists we first have to, undergo this massive paradigm shift regarding how machines actually process information.
Right, how they read, with air quotes.
Exactly. The source material makes a remarkably stark claim here. It says AI does not read.
Yeah, that part really stuck out to me.
Right. It does not appreciate narrative flow. It doesn't care about your clever transitions, and it certainly isn't moved by a slow burn introduction. It basically just scans for structure.
And the article uses an analogy that I think beautifully illustrates this disconnect. Picture the blog post or the article you just wrote as a neatly labeled filing cabinet.
Oh, the filing cabinet analogy is so good.
It really is, because when a human reader arrives at that cabinet, they're generally tolerant of exploration.
Yeah.
Right? They might rifle through a few drawers, skim the fonts, read a little introductory anecdote about your childhood, and decide along the way if the material matters to them.
Humans have the patience to look for the value.
Exactly, but large language models, they do not possess that patience.
No, nor do they have the compute budget to read between the lines. So when an AI crawler arrives at that exact same filing cabinet, it only reads the labels on the outside of the drawers.
Just the labels.
Just the labels. If those labels are mathematically clear, confident, structured, the crawler extracts your content to use as a foundational building block. But if those labels are vague or, trying to be overly clever,
or buried beneath 3 paragraphs of scene setting.
Right, exactly. If you do that, the cabinet stays shut. The crawler just abandons the site entirely.
Okay, but I have to push back on the implication here, because this was my first thought when reading this. Does this blueprint suggest we just have to write like robots now?
I know. That's the immediate fear.
Right. Are we supposed to totally abandon the art of storytelling and narrative just to appease a scraping algorithm? Because looking at an internet entirely stripped of human voice sounds incredibly bleak.
It does, but the source material actually anticipates that exact fear. The blueprint argues that this is not about sacrificing quality or human voice for the machine, it's entirely about architecture.
Okay, so separating the two?
Yes, you can retain your beautiful prose, but you must construct a recognizable skeleton underneath it. There's this defining quote in the text. If you write for humans and structure for machines, the machines will introduce you to humans you've never met.
Oh, wow. I love that. So the structure acts as the delivery vehicle. You're basically building a framework to transport your storytelling to the audience.
Exactly. The text introduces this concept of a mathematical anchor.
Right. I wanted to ask about that. What does that mean practically?
What? To a human reader, a citation at the bottom of an article is just, a professional courtesy or a footnote. Yeah. But to a large language model, a citation is a mathematical anchor. It's a vector weight in high dimensional space.
Okay. So it's a totally different function for the machine.
Entirely. Yeah. By structuring your text in a highly specific way, you are providing the model with a mathematically safe, highly probable token sequence that it feels confident citing as authoritative.
That makes a lot of sense. Let's unpack how we actually build those anchors then, because the source material provides a really practical 6-step framework, starting with what happens the absolute second the AI crawler hits your page.
Quick question for med spa owners. How many calls did you miss this week? Because every unanswered call could be a $500 to $3,000 client booking somewhere else. That's why med spas are turning to Voice AI Plus, an AI-powered receptionist and follow-up system that answers every call 24/7, books appointments, and follows up automatically. No voicemail, no missed opportunities, no extra staff. And it doesn't stop there. Voice AI Plus also includes your CRM, booking calendar, email automation, and review management, all in one system. Try it free for 30 days and see the calls, the bookings, and the ROI for yourself. Visit the link in the description to learn more today.
Step 1, planting the flag.
Right. The blueprint calls this planting the flag, and it all hinges on a concept called the definitional hook. The strategy claims that the fastest signal of authority you can provide is defining your core concept within the first 100 words of the piece.
Which is so counterintuitive for a lot of writers.
It really is. We love a good, slow introduction. But consider the underlying mechanism of how attention works in a transformer model.
Right? The way it weights tokens?
Exactly. These models allocate a massive amount of their processing weight to the initial context setting of a document. If you bury your thesis or your definition in the fourth paragraph, the attention mechanism has already diluted its focus, trying to parse your introductory narrative.
It's already lost the thread.
Right. So by placing a definitional hook at the very top, you are heavily weighting the tokens the AI needs to understand the entire entity. You're basically telling the model, hey, this piece of content unequivocally owns this specific terminology.
And the blueprint actually outlines a very strict template for this opening block. It's not just write a good intro.
No, it's very specific. Your first paragraph needs to state precisely what the post is about, define the primary keyword, and provide one sentence of real-world stakes.
Just one sentence of stakes?
Yep. Then your second paragraph must deliver a concrete preview of value.
Right? The sequence is highly intentional. It's like, this concept means X, it matters because of Y consequence, and in this document you will find A, B, and C.
Think about your own publishing workflow. Listening to this, how often do we start a piece with a meandering story just to set the mood?
All the time.
But this structural requirement, it really reminds me of trying to speak with a highly influential VIP at a chaotic networking event.
Oh, that's a perfect analogy.
You don't walk up to a titan of your industry and start with a long, rambling backstory about your flight to the conference.
No, they would tune you out in 3 seconds.
Exactly. You give them a sharp, confident elevator pitch right away. You establish who you are, what you solve, and why they should care instantly.
And that definitional hook serves as your elevator pitch to the algorithm. So once you establish that initial context, the blueprint moves to step 2, which dictates how to build the Scamble skeleton using hierarchical headings.
The H2S and H3S.
Yeah, but we are moving way past the basic SEO advice of just using heading tags randomly. The critical insight from the source here is semantic query matching.
That was fascinating.
Every single heading should be structured as a standalone question that mirrors real-world prompts.
Instead of a clever, vague heading like background information or looking ahead, which I'm totally guilty of using, the blueprint demands converting every section into a specific how, what, or why question.
Right? So instead of background, it should be, what is AI blog citation and why does it matter? Or how do AI tools decide which blog post to reference?
It has to stand on its own.
Exactly. If your heading can stand alone as the exact prompt a user might type into a chat interface, you are reducing the computational leap the AI has to make. You are mapping your document's architecture directly to the user's intent.
The AI effectively uses your headings as an X-ray of your document's utility.
An X-ray, yes. That's exactly how the source describes it.
Okay, so we've mapped the visible territory, we've planted our flag with a definitional hook, and we've built an X-rayable skeleton using query-matched headings. But once the AI crawler actually opens that filing cabinet drawer, what exactly is it looking for inside the text?
Now we get to the meat of the content, steps 3 and 4.
Right? The blueprint transitions here to introduce a mandatory element called the direct answer paragraph.
And the source insists that every well-optimized post requires at least one paragraph that answers the central question in 2 to 3 punchy, dense sentences.
Just 2 to 3?
Yeah. Keeping it super tight, this serves as the highlight reel. It's the exact prepackaged snippet the AI would pull verbatim into its own interface.
And the blueprint's rules for this specific paragraph are incredibly strict. It says it must be clean, entirely factual, and entirely free of hedging language.
Yeah, no mights or maybes.
And here is where the source material gets highly controversial, and I really have to challenge this no hedging rule.
I figured you would. It's a tough pill to swallow.
Think about the reality of complex fields. If you are writing about advanced medicine, corporate law, or complex software engineering, nuance is literally the job. Reality is rarely black and white. It depends.
Right?
If this blueprint demands we strip away all hedging, aren't we incentivizing oversimplified, reductive content just to please a machine's preference for certainty?
That tension right there between human nuance and machine certainty is the central conflict of modern digital writing.
Feels like a dangerous game.
It does, but the blueprint actually addresses this by focusing on the function of the label versus the function of the contents. An AI model relies on token probability. If your direct answer paragraph says, well, it depends, based on a variety of incredibly complex shifting factors, the model cannot use that as a mathematical anchor.
Because it's too vague.
The probabilistic confidence is just too low for it to extract as a definitive answer.
It essentially cannot extract a maybe.
Precisely. It cannot cite a maybe. So the strategy outlined in the source is not to eliminate nuance from your entire article. That would be disastrous for the human reader.
Right.
The strategy is segregation. The nuance belongs in the surrounding human readable prose, but that one specific direct answer paragraph, that must be definitive.
Oh, I see.
You have to spoon feed the core truth to the algorithm so it can safely cite you as the authority. And then you rely on the AI to send the human reader to your site, where they can discover all the deep contextual nuance you've written in the surrounding paragraphs.
Okay, that makes sense. You secure the mathematical citation with certainty, and you deliver the human value with nuance. That distinction makes the process feel much less like a compromise of quality.
It's a structural division of labor, really.
Which leads us to the next structural requirement. Step 4, which explores formatting the body content with lists and numbered steps. And the text explicitly refers to structured lists as AI catnip.
AI catnip. I love that phrase. And the mechanics behind why lists are catnip are fascinating when you look at how large language models generate text.
How so?
Well, these models are fundamentally prediction engines, right? They guess the next logical token in the sequence. So when an AI attempts to synthesize large blocks of dense prose, the temperature, or the computational guesswork required to summarize it accurately, is quite high.
Meaning it's more likely to make a mistake
Exactly. This increases the risk of hallucination.
because the model has to work harder to figure out what matters in a giant wall of text.
Right. But by formatting your criteria, steps, or comparisons into bulleted or numbered lists, you are drastically lowering that temperature. You are giving the AI a low risk, highly predictable, prepackaged unit of information.
The source material actually establishes a really stark rule here. Prose is for humans, lists are for everyone.
Which is so true. Think about how often you prompt an AI for an explanation, and the output you receive is a neatly organized 5-point bulleted list,
Almost every single time.
right? If your source material is already formatted exactly like the AI's preferred output, the system has to do zero translation work. You're basically handing it a fully baked asset.
And the blueprint recommends starting each item in a list with an action verb and a specific task, completely avoiding vague introductory language. Every step needs to be completable as a standalone instruction.
Yes. Okay, so we have covered the visible text now, the hooks, the headings, the direct answers, and the lists.
The first 4 steps.
Right, but the blueprint argues that the visible text is only half the battle. There is an entirely invisible layer of structure and a final sequential impression that heavily influences the algorithm's ultimate decision to cite your work over a competitor's.
Let's talk about that invisible layer, which is step 5. The source material dives into schema, markup, and article metadata.
Yes, the structured data layer happening entirely behind the scenes in your website's code.
To understand the gravity of this, think about the hidden EXIF metadata attached to a digital photograph.
Oh, that's a great way to look at it.
When a human looks at a photo on their phone, they just see a beautiful picture of a sunset. They appreciate the colors and the framing, but when a computer reads that exact same image file, it looks at the hidden EXIF data. The machine instantly knows the exact GPS coordinates where the photographer was standing, the specific focal length of the camera lens, the ISO, and the exact millisecond the shutter clicked.
And schema markup serves the exact same function for your written content. It is a standardized vocabulary that tells the AI crawlers with absolute mathematical certainty the parameters of what they are processing.
It removes all doubt.
Exactly. The blueprint actually mandates implementing article or blog posting schema markup at a minimum.
The source draws a brilliant contrast here. It says publishing an article without metadata is like standing in a crowded room and shouting your credentials, hoping someone hears you.
Which rarely works.
Right, but injecting proper schema markup is like walking directly up to the AI crawler and handing it a verified professional business card.
You're taking away the guesswork entirely.
You are hard coding the data streams. You're saying, I'm a verified author. This is my organizational entity. This was published on this specific date. And here is the exact one, 60 character summary of the entity.
And that verified data stream builds the algorithmic trust necessary citation, which brings the blueprint to its final structural requirement. Step 6, the citable conclusion.
The conclusion. We historically treat conclusions as a polite narrative device, right? A way to gently say goodbye to the reader and summarize the journey.
Like tying a nice bow on it.
Exactly, yeah. But the blueprint argues that AI systems weight conclusions disproportionately high for a purely mechanical reason.
Right, the lost in the middle phenomenon.
Yes. Can you explain that?
Sure. As a large language model processes a long document within its context window, the attention mechanisms heavily favor the very beginning of the text and the very end of the text.
So the middle gets ignored?
Basically, yes. The middle often gets computationally compressed. Because the conclusion is mathematically the last sequence of tokens processed, it's highly retained and frequently the first thing the model chooses to cite.
It's just recency bias for machines.
Exactly. It's algorithmic recency bias.
So how do we engineer a conclusion that capitalizes on that bias? The blueprint says You must restate your core direct answer, echo the primary semantic keyword naturally one final time, and most importantly, include one highly memorable, quotable sentence.
You are designing a perfect bow-tied package for the AI to hand to the end user.
And the source actually provides a perfect example of this in its own text. It concludes with this line: structuring a blog post for AI blog citation is less about writing better and more about writing smarter.
See, that is an incredibly dense quotable wrap-up that a generative engine can effortlessly extract to summarize the article's overall value.
It perfectly synthesizes the entire philosophy we've been unpacking. So let's bring this all back to you, the listener. We have decoded this structural blueprint from top to bottom.
We really have.
We've moved from the critical importance of the first 100 words in the definitional hook through the X-ray of query-mashed headings into the certainty of direct answers and AI catnip lists, all the way down to the invisible handshake of metadata and the sequential weight of the conclusion.
It's a full top-to-bottom rewrite of how we publish.
It is. The overarching reality of these sources is that discoverability has permanently mutated. The era of keyword stuffing a 2,000-word essay and praying a search engine ranks you, that's dead.
It's completely dead. The new reality is entirely based on your ability to be cited by generative systems. And, the encouraging takeaway from this blueprint is that adapting doesn't require you to become a fundamentally different or less creative writer.
Thank goodness.
Right? It just requires intentionality, small, highly deliberate structural changes, like how you formulate a subheading or where exactly you place your definitive thesis. Those result in massive advantages in discoverability.
The text summarizes it perfectly. Yeah. When you clearly label your sections, provide unhedged answers for the crawler, and inject proper metadata, you stop writing for the algorithm and you start writing with it.
I love that phrasing, writing with it.
Yeah, you are actively collaborating with the machine to ensure your deeply human ideas actually reach other human beings. Those who adopt this architectural mindset early are going to capture a massive share of the new digital visibility.
You're basically building the sonar ping the submarine is looking for, ensuring your insights don't just sink to the bottom of the ocean.
But, analyzing this blueprint leaves me with a highly provocative thought, something I want you to mull over as you close out this podcast and look at your own publishing strategy.
Okay, let's hear it.
Let's fast forward just a few years. Let's say every business, every thought leader, every journalist, and every marketer perfectly adopts this AI-friendly blueprint.
A fully optimized, mathematically perfect web.
Precisely. What happens when the entire internet is successfully transformed into billions of identical, perfectly labeled filing cabinets?
Oh, wow.
Right. If everyone's structure is flawless, if everyone has perfect definitional hooks and query-matched headings, how will the AI models evolve to decide who gets cited next? When structure becomes totally commoditized because literally everyone is doing it perfectly, what will become the new defining metric for digital authority?
That is the existential question for the next iteration of the web. I mean, structure buys you entry today, but the algorithmic filters of tomorrow will inevitably require something even deeper. Structure gets you found, but you still have to ensure the message inside the bottle is worth reading.
So the big idea here is simple but kind of shocking. Great content alone isn't enough anymore. You can write something brilliant and AI systems still won't see it.
Right? Because discoverability has changed. It's no longer about ranking on search engines. It's about being cited inside AI-generated answers.
Which means we're not just writing for humans anymore, we're structuring for machines.
Exactly. And the biggest mindset shift, AI doesn't actually read your content, it scans for structure.
That filing cabinet analogy really drives it home. Humans open drawers and explore. AI just reads the labels. If your labels aren't clear, it moves on.
So the blueprint gives us a 6-step system to make content AI citable. Step 1 is the definitional hook.
Which basically means stop bearing your point. Define your topic clearly within the first 100 words.
Yeah, think of it like an elevator pitch to the algorithm. What is this? Why does it matter? What will I get?
Step 2 is about headings, but not just any headings.
They need to match real user queries. Every heading should sound like something someone would type into ChatGPT.
So instead of overview, it's what is AI blog citation and why does it matter?
Then comes one of the most important pieces, the direct answer paragraph.
2 to 3 sentences, clear, confident, no hedging.
And that's where things get controversial, because real-world topics do require nuance.
But the key distinction is you separate them. Give the AI a clean, definitive answer, and give the human the nuance around it.
Step 4, lists.
AI loves lists. AI catnip, as the article says.
Because lists reduce ambiguity. They're easy to extract, summarize, and reuse.
Then we get to the invisible layer, schema markup, and metadata.
This is like giving the AI a verified business card instead of hoping it understands who you are.
It builds trust and removes guesswork entirely,
And finally, the conclusion.
which turns out to be way more important than we thought.
Because of lost in the middle, AI pays the most attention to the beginning and the end.
So your conclusion needs to restate the core idea and deliver a strong, quotable line.
Zooming out, this is a complete rewrite of content strategy.
Yeah, SEO isn't dead, but it's been replaced by something bigger, generative engine optimization.
And the goal now isn't ranking, it's being referenced.
Which leads to that big question, what happens when everyone gets this right?
When structure becomes standardized, what becomes the differentiator?
That's the future battleground.
All right, let's break this down into the core takeaways.
First, structure determines visibility. Without it, AI won't surface your content.
Second, you're writing for two audiences now. Machines for discovery, humans for depth.
Third, clarity beats cleverness, especially in your opening, headings, and direct answers.
Fourth, format matters as much as content. Lists, headings, and structure increase your chances of being cited.
And finally, this is just the beginning. Once everyone adopts these tactics, differentiation will shift to something deeper than structure.
All right, let's make this practical. What should listeners do this week?
Take one existing blog post or article you've already published
And optimize it using just 3 elements from this blueprint. Add a definitional hook in the first 100 words. Rewrite all headings as real user questions. Insert one clear, unhedged direct answer paragraph.
Don't overcomplicate it. Just those 3 changes alone can dramatically increase your chances of being cited.
And once you see the difference, that's when you start scaling it across everything you publish.
Thanks for listening to AI for Beginners Demystified, brought to you by Internet Marketing Services, helping small businesses harness the power of AI to work smarter and grow faster. If you found this episode helpful, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new episode. Be sure to check out the description below for valuable links and resources, including free tools, learning guides, and ways to start applying AI in your business today. And visit internetmarketingservices.com to explore even more AI tools, tips, and resources. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep demystifying AI.